You're listening to the Nacho Kids Podcast, where we discuss all things step-family related. Real stories, real people, real help. Your hosts are the creators of the Nacho Kids Method and the Nacho Kids Academy Step-Family Coaching Team, Lori and David Sims.
Today we have Billie Tarascio with Modern Law. Hey, Billie, how are you?
Hi, so good to see you. I'm doing great.
Yeah, you too. We've had you on a couple of times.
I know.
Yeah. You've been on mine. I've been on yours. It's a symbiotic relationship.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, this time though, we're not going to talk about family court. We're going to talk about your story.
Stepmomming.
That's a nervous laugh.
Yes.
I know, right? Right. Yeah. Because it's a tough role, right?
Yeah. So tell us how long you've been blending, how many step kids, bio kids, how often you have them, all that good stuff.
Yes. Okay. So my role as a stepmom has changed a lot over the years. When I married my ex-husband, he had a daughter who was 18 months old. So she has been my stepdaughter, her entire life. She just got married. She is 24 in March. She's going to have a baby. Like, I've been part of her life her entire life. And so I had a certain role with her. And then my ex-husband and I divorced a few years ago, and I am now recoupled, and my partner's kids lived in Ohio primarily. And so he would go see them and we would vacation together, and our family would always take great vacations together, like in the summer. But then they moved in full-time in December. So this is a new adventure. Even though I've stepmommed for a long time, the current, blending and all living in one house, and their mom lives on the other side of the country. Like,
Right.
it's every single scenario is different, right? Every scenario of being a stepdad or a stepmom is different depending on the ages of the kids and what's going on in the totality of the world of circumstances.
Right. So do you have kids of your own?
Yes, I have 4.
Okay. So you've got 4 kids of your own and a stepdaughter from a previous relationship.
Yep.
With your ex-husband, and he's the dad of your 4 kids, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then how many stepkids do you have with your current partner?
3.
Wow.
I know.
And you have your kids full-time too?
No, I have mine half the time. One of them, the senior in high school, lives with me full time. They get to a point where they don't want to do the back and forth anymore. So he's with me full time, and Chad's kids are with me full time. So 4 are there full time, and then my 2 younger kids, who are 12 and 9, are with their dad half the time, and we live locally. And we've been doing that since 2017. So it's wild, you guys.
Oh, I'm sure. Because you were only used to seeing them, long breaks and summers and stuff?
Yeah. So Chad would go visit them in Ohio a lot, probably like once a month. He'd go stay there for anywhere between 3 to 7 days. And then they would come to Arizona in the summers and sometimes for Thanksgiving. And it was it was not a rigid plan. So sometimes 2 would come, sometimes all 3 would come. He is very, very flexible in his parenting plan, which is not for everyone, but it works for them. And we had no idea that we would end up with them full time. And it's such a blessing, that he gets that. And also just something we were not at all anticipating. And so, coming up with enough room is an issue, and having 2 very different family cultures is an issue. And me being a very different parent to my kids than he is to his kids wasn't an issue when we were just vacationing.
Right.
But it's a little different when everybody lives together and are sharing rooms and they go to the same school. And
Thank God
things.
you know about Nacho.
Yeah, I feel so grateful that I have the theoretical knowledge that I'm now getting to put to use practically.
So how did y'all end up with custody of them or get on them full time?
We don't even have legal custody.
Okay.
So, which drives me crazy as a family law attorney, right? So there's There's nacho parenting, and then there's also the nacho like spousing. Like those kids and that arrangement and that custody plan, kind of not my call, kind of not my business. And so he's always done things in a very loosey-goosey way where, they wouldn't follow the plan, or it would drive me nuts. I'm a lawyer. But, stuff just kind of fell apart at their mom's house and got really, really complicated. And she was remarried, and it wasn't working for them. And the oldest was definitely coming, how it is with oldest. Sometimes there's just like a big old crash but the way it worked out, all three of them were like, we want to go. And so it was very touch and go over Christmas break. Are they staying? Are they not? Can we get them enrolled in school? All the things. But, and now we're still a little bit in limbo because one may want to go back for next year. We're just not sure. And I love certainty and structure, and that's just not on the table.
That's one thing as a step parent that I've had to kind of let go of. I'm a planner. And it's hard to be that way when you're a step parent.
Right.
Because things change so frequently.
Yeah. And they're not my plans to make.
Right. Now, I can hear a stepmom saying, oh, heck no, Billie. It's your business because they're moving up in your house.
Well, yes. Yes, of course it's my business. And of course it impacts me. But ultimately, it's not my call.
Right.
And they're not my kids, and it's not my custody arrangement, and they are welcome in my home, whether I get to plan it the way I want to or not.
Right. Yeah. Because you would never tell your husband, no, they can't come here.
Absolutely not. We're so happy to have them. Trying to figure out where to put everybody, thinking about ways to add on. Maybe I can move my office into that third car garage and change things around. And
as soon as you do, one of them will go back.
I know, right? I know. And just today I was like, is she staying or not? I need to make construction plans. But really, even if she makes a plan today, she may change her mind.
Exactly. And I did say your husband. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh, that's fine. You can call him my husband. We're essentially married, just not legally.
She calls him a lot worse, I'm sure.
How long have y'all been together?
5 years.
Okay, so you've been together a while.
Long time. Yeah.
And you never thought that those kids would be there full time?
No, he never thought that. I never thought that. His former wife was a stay-at-home mom. That was her full-time job. Mm-hmm. So, but you just never know what happens, right? You never know how these things are going to unfold. And it's a wild adventure when you're divorced, and kids have more choices and more control when their parents are not together than they would otherwise. Under normal circumstances, you don't like your mom and stepdad or your parents. Let's say you don't like your parents and it's not going well and there's a lot of conflict. You got to thug it out,
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. You deal with it until you're 18. You disassociate, you figure it out. But when you have another parent, you do have the other, usually the option. Do I want to go be with that other parent?
Yeah. I think that plays into the lack of coping skills just in the generation altogether, because you don't have to cope. You can just go, I'm going to live with the other parent.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not easy. They did have to move across the country and leave all of their friends and their whole way of life. And now they go to this academy with my kids where they have to wear uniforms all day and they have far more homework than they used to have. And, it's not an easy choice for sure.
Now I understand why the one wants to go back.
Maybe. I mean, it's a maybe, I think, she's also a freshman, and I think life just kind of sucks when you're a freshman and you're a 15-year-old girl and you're probably not happy anywhere you are, and trying to figure out, where do I fit and how do I belong? And, she's getting a lot of, her mom misses her and wants her to come back. And that's hard. That's a lot of responsibility on a kid.
Yeah. It puts that loyalty bond into play.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
The loyalty bind, which we really, really try to make non-existent. Like there is no loyalty bind. You just need to, you're making a pretty grown-up choice, a choice that usually you don't have to make until you're 18 when you're deciding where am I going to go to college. That's the first time usually that you get to decide where am I going to live. And you have to make that choice at a much younger age. And so you really want to make it for the right reasons, thinking
Right.
about, your future. What are the resources you're going to get and what is best for you? So that's how we're trying to frame the discussion.
Yeah. Wow. When you think about it, she's at 15, you're like 3 years away from college decisions. But 3 years ago, she was 12.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now, how do they get along with your kids?
Really well. I mean, there's no conflict. My oldest gets along with them extraordinarily well. The two 12-year-old boys get along well, but couldn't be more different. And they're sharing a room. So that, of course, is leading to some discussions, interactions, decisions that have to be made, and we have, they're different kids. So they would be, even if they were both mine, they would probably be parented a little bit differently because they're different children.
Right.
But they have different parents with different rules. And his kids came in with basically zero restrictions on things like screen time and bedtimes. And that's just not true for my kids. And it was you who told me not to try to find something that will work for everyone and instead just stick with what you got, stick with what you know, and tell your kids, we're not going to do that. I really appreciated that advice and I've used it.
Good. And it's hard for kids to go, but that's not fair, because that's what they always say. And I remember Jackson saying that, and I'm like, this isn't about fair. Everybody doesn't get a booby prize.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really freeing. So Lori's advice was, you just tell your kids, listen, do you have the same rules as the neighbor down the street? No. Would you ask for them? No. Same thing. And on one hand, it's not the same thing because they're sharing a bedroom.
Yes.
But it's better than trying to come up with any other alternative. Trying to make somebody else parent their kids differently is never going to happen because it's too authentic. It's too, like that relationship has evolved over many, their whole lifetime and all the events that have led them to where they're at. And you know how you can't just be a different parent to your kids today, neither can your partner or your spouse.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big one because people often say, well, I don't like the way they parent. Well, good luck changing that.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Then did you fall in love with them because of how they parent?
No, not really.
Right. Exactly. That was not an issue.
What you create is a term I call shadow parenting, where they parent the way they want to, but they do it away from you, so you don't know that it's happening.
Yeah, that's just going to cause conflict between you and your spouse.
Yeah.
And so much of this is like, what can you let go? And that's the entire concept of Nacho is like, what's in my lane? What is mine to worry about? And what is mine to let go? Not worry about.
And you're not going to lower your parenting standards to meet your partner's.
I'm not.
Because he doesn't have the same rules. Yeah.
But your kids sure want you to lower.
They do. And boy, is that 12-year-old a negotiator. Oof. I mean, he was a negotiator before, and now he thinks he just has more to negotiate with.
And what's bad is when they come up with good points.
I know, right? I know.
You're right. Yeah, but you're like, I'm a lawyer. You're not going to win.
Right. Nah. And plus, you know how many kids I've raised at this point? How many kids I've been doing this a long time. And that is really nice because we don't get into power struggles with anyone anytime. And so if you can get to that point as a parent where you can remove power struggles, life just gets so much better.
Yes.
That's when they have that power struggle. That's when you just go, you know what? You're right. And it's still going to be my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What's been the biggest shock for you? I mean, I can imagine your husband going, oh, by the way, my kids are coming to live with us. And you're like, oh, great.
We need to have a talk, honey.
Yeah.
You know what? He was really hesitant about, I'm going to ruin our whole world. Because we have this world where we have kids half the time, and half the time we are free adults to do whatever we want. And he was, he thought for a second about whether or not that was a good idea. And to me, it was, if they're better off here, then they need to be here. And what a gift for them and you to get this time together. Like, you didn't know this, they didn't know this. Like, this is an outstanding opportunity. That doesn't mean that it's not hard. And there was a time a few weeks ago where, because the other thing is, like, they come to you and they haven't been raised by you. So to me, there's all these things that have to be done that maybe should have been done. Like, if they were my kids, I would have done these things. I would have done these interventions. We would have figured these things out, because I'm very, very proactive, and, not everybody's the same. So anyway, it was a lot, and there was a lot of adjustment. And there was a time when I was just like, we have to get away for the weekend. Like, can you call your mom and see if she'll stay with your kids for a weekend? And he did. And we went to Napa for the weekend. And it was just really, really great to be able to get a break and kind of reconnect, because, like, we are so solid and we are best friends. And I just love this man. But parenting together is it's not our favorite, not my favorite, So making sure to have time to cut away and to reconnect and to be solid together, because so much of what those kids struggled with is conflict between mom and stepdad. And so if we can just remove that, like, no conflict between parents in the house does a lot to relieve kids of stress, so they can have their own drama, right? Not our drama.
Right. Yeah. I can't help but wonder if the issues between mom and stepdad aren't the issues we see every day.
Probably.
Yeah, stepdad.
I mean, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Your kid sucks. Do something differently.
Yeah.
Make your kid be respectful,
Yeah.
Yeah. I really wish people knew kind of like the rules and how to actually execute them in a way that feels okay, because it hasn't been that hard. It's really been a pretty pleasant journey. And there's a lot of joy in it.
Yeah. And you have to find that joy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these are kids that you have the honor of impacting their lives. And being a positive adult that they wouldn't have had otherwise, in a different way. Because yes, I was their stepmom before, but not like this. It's just a different role.
Yeah, it's like kind of stepmom to stepmom.
Right. I mean, fun lady to hang out with on vacation and go shopping with and get pedicures, versus like, I don't know how to do my homework, I'm freaking out. Like, different life skills.
Yeah. How did your kids react when you told them?
They were so excited.
Really?
Yeah, they were so excited. Only the 12-year-old who has to share a room, and that's his only beef. He would really like his own space. He's not my most,
especially if his step sibling is, on the bunk beds playing his game at 3:00 in the morning.
Right. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to figure that out. I think I can turn my third-car garage into my office and turn my office into a bedroom. Like, there's ways to do this, or like there's.
You just need a partition. Just put a partition in the room.
Yeah. Like, there's ways to do this. And so over the years, I've changed the makeup of where we're putting these kids quite a few times. Like, at first I put all the girls in one room, Julia, who's 9, and then his kids. They were much younger then, but that wasn't a good dynamic. So we turned the den into like a place that could be a really cool guest room for them when they came. And that worked really well, but it's not good for like the permanent. So there've been a lot of changes as we've gone on.
Yeah. Do you talk to their mom?
Never. We've never talked. We've never met.
Oh,
ever. Wow. Which is mind blowing. I'm sure she sees me online. I'm sure. So I'm sure she has a certain like understanding, because I'm not difficult to get to know from afar, but I have no idea, we've never met, which must be so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, because part of you is like, your kids are in my home all the time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to talk to me? And But then another part of you's like, nope, that's not my baggage.
Well, right. I don't want to have beef with anybody. And I don't have any beef. You know what I
Right.
mean? I want these kids to have a strong, wonderful, loving, healthy relationship with their mom because that's what's in their best interest.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sure that must be really hard for her.
I can't imagine. I know, I'm not going to be able to think of her name now. Melissa Brown. Good job, Lori. She did the Blended Family podcast, and her daughter chose to go live with her husband and, or dad. And I can't imagine. My heart would break. To me, that would just be like losing your kid.
Yeah. My oldest, who's now 20, almost 21, when he was a senior, he chose to move out of my house and live with his dad. And it was so hard, even though he was 18, even though I fully supported that and I wanted him to be free to, make the choice. There was no fighting about the choice, but I was heartbroken for a good week and really had to do quite a bit of therapy and because, we had conflict in our relationship that stemmed from the divorce. And I think that happens many, many times, that there'll be conflict between parents that will spill over mostly to the oldest. And that's kind of what happened. And he, really gets along very well with his dad and is more like his dad, more compatible, the same way number 2, who's living with me full time, more compatible with me than his dad. But I still see him all the time. We go out to dinner all the time. We hang out all the time. We're still good. You haven't lost your kid unless you let that happen, unless you push them away, unless you take this as a rejection and then put up walls.
Right.
Right.
So you absolutely just said it, which is, it's not really that they chose the other parent. That's not what you feel. You feel that they rejected you.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so you got to work through that, do the work through it, and then you have to still show up as their parent because it's not, as a parent, it's never about you, right? Your feelings are always secondary. That's the job. That's the role.
Yes.
So you have to show up differently, from where you don't see them half the time.
Yeah. And they switched mid-school year, right?
They did. They switched.
Wow, that's even harder.
They started in January, this brand new school. So the oldest is a junior. She just went to prom. She's made a friend group. She's doing really, really well, really thriving, which is so great. But there's definitely so much conflict between her and her mom, which is very sad to see. I hope that they can work towards something better. But she's absolutely thriving. I think it's been harder on the freshman who's 15. That's a really hard age. And then the 12-year-old is also just really, really thriving. He's so much like his dad. They're exactly alike, they're both a little nerdy, funny, adorable. And so it's really cool to see them have that time together, and the school's really nerdy. So it's just perfect. He's got friends and he's doing really, really, really great. And so that's all we can want, right? For everybody to be able to adjust.
Yeah. And for the kids to pick up the coping tools and stuff like that they need through life so they don't struggle so much. So they're not 40 going, I need therapy because my mom was fighting with stepdad.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard, because when this happens, you're basically asking kids to have the maturity of a very mature adult to be
like a 90-year-old.
Right. Right. We have been doing this professionally for a long time, talking to different families, understanding dynamics, looking at it from all angles. And so we're really able to see these things rather neutrally and from everybody's perspective. And, in order for the kids to get those coping skills and be okay, they have to kind of get to the place where they can rationalize all those things. And I don't know that that's possible.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to expect that from an adult.
Right. Most don't do well. We know this. We see them. We talk to them. So I don't know how you as a parent can make sure to set them up for as much success as possible. You got any tips on that?
I've learned that it's just letting them know you're there no matter what. And no matter how bad it is, that you're there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Got your back, no matter what.
Yeah. 100%. I know this is completely off base, but that's not surprising for me. A guy that was a city councilman locally, where I grew up, his son was involved in a sextortion case.
Oh.
And his son committed suicide.
Oh no.
So I tell people about this constantly. Talk to your kids. And when I heard about this, I mean, the kid was like, I think he was 18. He was getting ready to graduate. He had just came back from a worship camp. I mean, it was crazy. And with his dad being who he was, I think it made it worse.
Yeah.
This person's like, if you don't send me such and such amount of money, then we're going to send all these pictures to everybody that knows your daddy.
Right.
And the guy freaked out. He didn't have the money. And so long story short, he did kill himself. And those people had the balls, and I'm going to say balls, but they had the balls to call the dad and try to extort him for more money after the son had died. Yeah.
Did they get caught?
Well, with him being who he is, yes.
That's good.
It's taken several years, but they ended up getting a guy from Nigeria.
Yeah.
And he's trying to pass a law. He's suing Facebook and
wow,
Instagram or
good
whoever
for him.
it was. Yeah.
Good for him.
But I went and talked to my son about it, and I said, I want you to know, no matter what you do, I love you with all my heart, and there's nothing that will ever make me stop loving you. So don't be afraid to come to me, regardless of what it is. And I was crying, and he's like, it's okay. And I'm like, but you don't understand. I mean, this was a good kid. He had a good relationship with his dad.
Yeah, lives 30 minutes away. I mean, it's in your backyard.
And he actually told me that it happened to one of his friends. Yeah. And I said, oh my gosh. And I said, what did he do? He said he paid the money. I said, how did he know they weren't going to try to get more money? He said he didn't. I'm like, this is down the road.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I hope everybody's talking to their kids about this.
Yeah.
I hope everybody is having this conversation. Like, how to spot groomers. What is love bombing? Like, man, yeah. This is why I'm so strict on the screen time stuff. I probably need to be more in your face, scary with my stepkids, because I'm pretty direct with my kids. Like we talk about this. I'm Sicilian. I'm like a level 10 all the time energy, and his kids are more chill. And I think they probably wouldn't appreciate my level 10, sex talks and sextortion talks.
Yeah.
But like, they have to know that it's coming. That way, if they see it or they experience it, they're like, oh, I know what this is. I know what I'm supposed to do.
Right. And I know, sorry, our dogs are barking. I know that when my son, Lord have mercy.
I can't even hear them.
You can't?
No.
Then I'm going to keep talking.
Yeah.
So I know when my son was little, I wanted him to be able to talk to a friend of mine if he ever needed to about something that he was afraid to tell me, or he was scared, or he didn't know how to tell me. So I tried to build that relationship between them. And it's like, anything ever happens, you call Holly. If you don't feel comfortable coming to me or David, go to Holly, because she's got your back as much as I do.
Right.
And it's important for kids to know that. And, I didn't know about the sextortion thing until I saw that about his son. And then I started researching it. Yeah. It's crazy. Even 80-year-old men are committing suicide because of this.
Yeah. This is rampant, and it's a pattern, and everybody needs to know the pattern so that it doesn't freak you out, because it's very effective. It's an effective scam.
Yeah, it is. So, I know your husband's a little bit more laid back, but hopefully he'll have that conversation with them.
Yeah, it is hard to know as a step parent, like, what the exact boundaries are.
Yeah. There's certain things that I can talk to the kids about. I remember I've always been open with my son about stuff. And David's ex, I guess she wasn't as open with her kids. So his triplets are 5 years older than Jackson. And Jackson said something one day. He's going to kill me for saying this. He said something about testicles. And I mean, he's 5 at this point, maybe.
Here we go.
And one of David's kids is like, what? And he's like, testicle, your balls.
Yeah.
And they're like, I thought those were green beans. I'm like, what?
Green beans?
Yeah, it was like green beans or some kind of peas or something. I don't even know where that story came from, but I'm like, it just amazed me, the difference.
Green beans.
But it also showed me that there's things I talked to my son about that his kids have never been talked to about, and it's not my place to do it.
Right. Is it?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I did overstep one time.
Just once?
Yeah. One of his kids got this little girlfriend, and
There's been more than once.
yeah, but one of his kids got this little girlfriend, and I was like, have you kissed her? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, great. Oh, great. Because I think he's a teenager at this point. And I was like, have you had to talk about stuff, because things lead to other things or whatever? Well, I decided, oh, y'all were going to judge me. I feel it. I decided to show him pictures of syphilis.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
We tried everything to get these kids to wait till they were married, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think you got a text about something about your wife showing my son dirty pictures first.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
something I got lit into again. I'm like, I can't control her. She's out of control.
Yeah. Every dynamic's different, Because when they're going back and forth, you have that other dynamic of like, what did you do at your house?
Right. Yes.
So-and-so
even if
says
she
blah,
didn't
blah,
ask,
blah.
he could be talking to the other kid, but like, can you believe Lori showed me those pictures?
Yeah. I mean, the bad thing is my ex at the time she worked night shift a lot. And so the kids would be by themselves at home.
But we didn't know that. We thought that she was there at night. And we found out after a year of them, 4 teenage boys being home by themselves at night, that wasn't the case.
Yeah. Which, if they would have been by themselves in a house out in the country, it'd be one thing, but they were in an apartment complex.
What? It's crazy how much you don't know about what goes on in, we really had no idea that those kids were going to end up living with us,
Right.
and they probably knew way before we knew,
Yeah. Yeah, they were probably talking to each other like, we should go live with dad.
Right. And what does that look like? And, and things are bad here and we don't like this. But yeah, I mean, but kids are very careful about reporting to the other parent, which makes sense. They don't want us to intervene, right? So when you found out that the kids were alone at the apartment, what did you do?
Nothing.
Nothing?
There was no point in it because David knew if he addressed it, it was going to be, that's not true. So then you got the kids going against mom.
Yeah.
And it was just, there was no point. She asked what we did when we found out. And I said, nothing. There was nothing to do because she would have denied it. And the kids would have felt stuck in between.
Yeah. And I haven't made an offer like they're there by themselves. I'll come pick them up. When you go to work, I'll come pick them up and then I'll bring them back in the morning when you return from work. So you don't lose any of your time and they're supervised. Mm-hmm. Her answer was, that's not your time. You will not get them.
Yeah.
What?
Oh. Yeah.
I think one of the most difficult decisions that people have to make is whether or not to take something back to family court or not.
Yes. And the more you think about it, you'll change your mind. By the time we'd got into family court and paid all that money, a judge could have looked at it like, the oldest is 17 at this point. So he's able to watch them as a babysitter, no different. Or, she could have said the neighbor was watching them. It's just, at some point, you just realize it's out of your hands and you don't want to throw it in a court system's hands.
Yeah. I mean, it's more often than not, if you can manage to avoid court, you're better off not doing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the negative impacts to the kids and to your ongoing co-parenting relationship. It just makes it worse and worse and worse and worse.
Right.
Yep.
And your mental health and everything else. Now, if they would have been 10, that would have been different.
Well, right. But I'm not saying you never go back,
Right.
Because it absolutely depends on what's going on. But we have to look at the degree of severity? Like, how important is it that I change this for my kids? Are they okay? You found out a year later. That means for a year they were functioning.
Mhm.
Is it ideal?
Define
No.
functioning.
I mean, had there been, they were okay, right? For a year, you didn't know about it.
We don't know. We don't know if they were up drinking all night or whatever, dude.
I know, right? But they still got good grades. They went to school. They came back to your house.
Well, they did go to school. I won't
Yeah.
say they did the
Yeah.
rest.
We would have found out.
I did have one of the teachers say, I can always tell where they're staying. And I was like, what does that mean? I can always tell whose house they're at. And I'm like,
Yeah. Like, if I found out my ex was leaving my kids alone overnight, I would probably be like, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But if you find out a year later, is it really worth going back to court? Are you going to be able to prove that it's in the best interest or that it's really dangerous a year later? That's tough.
Right. And
my attorney at the time, right when we were getting divorced, I had the conversation with him about, fighting to get full custody and all that. And he's like, unless you can prove she is severely unfit, it is not a battle you want to do. And I'm like, she's not severely unfit. I just, it's more like I don't like her kind of thing.
Or like, I'm better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they're better off with me, but, is she severely unfit? No. She just makes decisions I don't agree with, but that doesn't make her unfit.
And how old are your kids now?
25 and 27 almost.
Yeah, 3 of them are 25 and one will be 27 in a couple months. Yeah.
And how are they doing? Do they have a good relationship with their mom?
Define doing.
You gonna have her throw her hands up like that lady that got so frustrated.
Yeah, they got a good relationship with their mom, and
she's the friend.
It's a different, like they come to me when they want advice, and it's kind of life matters, I guess. I think they go to her when it's more, hey, let's go out and have a good time. Let's go, do things or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the relationship she built with them, and I think that's the relationship she wants with them.
Right.
Whereas I want to be friendly, but not their friend, if that makes sense. Like, I don't mind hanging out with them, but at the end of the day, I'm still their dad.
Yeah, there's things you don't tell your dad. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I think it's probably not fair to say, because I don't know for sure, but I feel like I still have expectations of them, whereas I don't know that she necessarily does. But that's not a fair statement. I don't know for sure. It just from what I can see on the outside and from their conversations with me about what happens, it just seems kind of that way.
Well, even the girlfriends are like, stick kid number 12 or whatever he is, stick kid number 3. He's completely different around her than he is with y'all.
Oh.
Or respectful and
So you have higher expectations. Bottom line.
Yeah. Now, I will say, Jackson was really little. We were going to the beach, and somebody said something about a motorcycle. And I knew his dad had gotten a motorcycle. And I said, Jackson, have you ever rode your dad's motorcycle? And he busted out crying. He told me not to tell you. He's going to be so mad. And I mean, it was horrible. I don't think you should question your kids about what happens at the other house unless there's concerns. But at the same time, you shouldn't tell your kids to lie to the other parent.
Right.
That was horrible.
Shadow
It made me
parenting.
feel bad for even asking that question.
Right.
Like, I put him in such a bad spot.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because you're going to make decisions that the other parent disagrees with. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And your kids know it too. Your kids know I'm doing this thing with mom that dad won't like, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're automatically, even without us saying anything, they're in a position where they're like, do I say something? Do I not?
It's more like, oh, your mom won't like that. We're definitely doing it.
It happens. It does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So, when did you know? So they came in December, right? Did you find out a couple of weeks before, a month before? How much time did you have to prepare?
Not a lot. Maybe a week. Mhm.
That's not even enough time to mentally prepare.
Well, yeah, it was like, he got a call, Dad, you need to come out here now. And he's like, what? And he was going out already for Max's band concert. So he was going for a quick trip anyway for Max's band concert. But then it was like, you can't leave. And he couldn't. So he needed to extend the Airbnb and they needed to finish school. And he was having, like sit downs every day with their mom to try to figure out, what was happening and who was going. And it was, the deal was changing all the time. Like 1 minute she said they could go, 1 minute.
And you're over there going,
oh my gosh. It was rough.
Red line did you go through?
I mean, yes, but how much worse was it for those four?
Yeah.
Dad and his 3 kids sitting in their Airbnb trying to finish out the semester and not knowing, like, where am I going to live next week? Like, it was very stressful. And so if we just remove stress, just be a stable, open door, that's the goal.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I know growing up, my mom and dad threatened to get divorced every other week. And I'm not kidding. And it was over money. My dad was good with money. My mom wasn't. Or my dad made a lot of money. My mom made decent money. But, when it came time for her to make her car payment, it was an issue. But anyway, so every other week or once a month, they would threaten to get divorced. And I wish to God they would have. They were miserable. And you don't know how many times I went to school on a Monday morning wondering, are me and my daddy moving out today? Is this finally going to be the day? And my mama would always go, so who are you going to go with? I'm going with my daddy. Why you even ask me that stupid stuff? You're making me hurt your feelings.
Who are you going to go with?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's just not a good thing.
Right?
Maybe she was just making sure you were going to go.
She wouldn't have put me if I'd have wanted her to.
That's what I'm saying. She just want to make sure you hadn't changed your mind. I just want to make sure you're still going to go, right?
Before I leave.
Yeah. Just make sure you don't stay here.
Yeah.
They never divorced?
Yes, finally, when I was 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 30, and you would think a 30-year-old, it wouldn't affect you that much, but it still does, because all of a sudden it's not Christmas at mom and dad's. It's Christmas at mom's, Christmas at dad's, you got one extra person you got to go see now. And it was just crazy. Yeah. And then you have they put me slap in the middle. And I had to tell my mom one time, I'm like, I'm not your friend. I'm your daughter. That is my dad that you are bashing.
Right. Find a girlfriend. Write it in your journal.
Yeah. But what's funny is I saw who was the more compassionate of the two. And my dad, no matter what was going on with my mom and how much she had hurt him, if she called and said, the pharmacy closed before I could get my medicine. My dad was a pharmacist. And she's like, do you have any blah, blah, blah? We're probably going to all go to jail for me telling everybody this now. But my mama's dead. Y'all can't get her.
Yeah.
And but so anyway, he would send my sister with the medicine to my mom. I mean, he didn't want her to go without, but they should have never been married. They never really should have. They were just too different.
Yeah, incompatibility is really hard, and people don't want to get a divorce and they want to avoid getting a divorce. But if you're living in chaos, then your kids are living in chaos, and the best thing you can do is try to figure out how to not live in chaos. And that might mean you're in 2 different homes, because if you can't do it while you're in the same home, that's the only option, because nobody wants to live in chaos.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. And you want your kids to see a healthy relationship. That's one thing that I think David's kids see with us is we fought for our marriage. It wasn't easy, but by God, we did it. And here we are, and we love each other most of the time. Except for Saturday mornings, because David's grumpy.
I am not grumpy on Saturday mornings.
But they saw us not just throw in the towel.
Mm-hmm. How did you do that? How did you fight for your marriage?
It wasn't an option. Divorce was not an option. Once we realized, it's like the nacho and divorce not being an option happened at the same time. It's like, we're going to try this nacho stuff. And even if it doesn't work, we're going to find something that does. We are not giving up. We're going to make this work, because the next relationship's not going to be any easier.
Nope.
And I'm not going to uproot my son and do all that stuff. So yeah, it was
Well, we
come
had,
hell or high water, it's going to work. So you better put a smile on your face and pull up your big girl britches.
I think we had some of the same feelings that a lot of step families come to us with, which is, I love him to death or I love her to death, but we can't figure this thing out. And so we're fighting all the time when the kids are here and all this kind of stuff. So it's like there is time where things are great, usually when there's no stressors happening, no kids and stepkids around. So there's something there to salvage. You just got to figure out how to make the rest of it work.
Right.
I think that's where we were. It was like, we don't want to get divorced. We love each other and we get along and all that, but we got a lot of mess we can't figure out.
Yeah, it wasn't going to, of course, when we decided that we weren't going to get divorced, it wasn't like an abusive situation. And anybody will turn any Facebook post into, oh, you're telling people to stay with an abuser. No, that's not the case. We knew that we loved each other and that we wanted to keep our family together.
Yeah.
And as crazy as it was and as hard as it was, we're going to put the work in and we're going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, if you like each other when you spend time together on the weekends without your kids, that's a marriage worth saving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we didn't have the kids, we would spend time repairing our relationship because it was completely in shambles.
I like that a lot. I think that's really important.
Yeah. And then when we had the kids, we would work on rebuilding the relationships there because even my relationship with my kids was so much damaged because they were like, why don't you get rid of this lady? Because we don't like her. She don't like us and you're keeping her.
Branson calling, is she gone yet?
Yeah. So it was a lot of rebuilding of relationships and it was a lot of active work. And, that's one thing I tell people is you better be ready to put in so much work to fix the problems and get things on track. It is not for the faint of heart.
Yep.
But the option is you go your merry little way and you may very well find yourself in the exact same boat again.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this isn't a season that's going to last forever. Kids do grow up.
Right. Well, and everything changes. Like your relationship with your stepkids, it may come to a point that you can talk to them about some things that right now you're kind of shying away from because you don't want to be that pushy step parent. But in 6 months, that relationship with one of the kids may have evolved to where they feel more comfortable talking to you than they do their dad.
Sure.
Yeah.
But see, now we've got the step grandbabies now, or the grandbabies.
Yeah.
So
what's that dynamic like?
Oh my God.
Do you have to nacho grandma? Or can you just grandma?
Yeah, I'm nacho grandma.
Yeah, you kind of have to because see, one of the beauties of the kids moving out is that me and my ex never had to have any communication at all anymore. Completely stopped. And I was like, oh, finally I made it. I graduated.
Yay.
When the grandkids come around, guess what? Now the kids are like, we're having a birthday party. We are not going to have 2 birthday parties. So can y'all get along? And we're like, well, yeah, we can get along. And so now we're in the same space and we're trying to, interact with the kids and the grandkids. And it is it's awkward. It's not necessarily awkward being in the same space as much as it's sometimes awkward to make sure you're navigating things where it doesn't cause a scene.
Yeah, because you can take any comment that they say and spin it. I knew she was talking about me.
Yeah. So if my ex has the one of the grandkids and I want to go interact with that kid, I'm more apt to back off because if I go over there and the kid's like, hey, and jumps in my arms, now all of a sudden she could go, well, that was rude. And then now we got this big issue. So it's like, I don't want this. I don't want to turn a birthday party into some kind of fighting match. So just trying to navigate that piece. It's like, I guess everybody's a little bit on eggshells. And as far as I know, she may feel the same way. She might like, I don't want to set him off. And I'm like, I don't want to set her off. And so who knows? We don't have those conversations because frankly, when we've tried to have conversations in the past that were cordial, they usually ended up biting me in the butt. So I'm just not interested in having those conversations.
You just keep it to a minimum.
Yeah.
Avoid the issue.
Yeah.
So 2 of the grandkids their birthday is a year and 1 day apart. So you got birthdays back to back. So they were going to have a birthday party over here at our house for the little girl. And then all of a sudden something happened the weekend before. Grandma on the other side couldn't, do the birthday party she had wanted to with her. So I said, can mom come to the house for Layla's party? And I'm like, and I told David, I said, I will not be the reason that she is not coming here. I said, she can come here all day. It's up to you, but I don't want her in my house. If she needs to use the bathroom, she can pop a squat in the woods, or she can go down to the store. I just don't want her in my house. And I don't think that's asking too much. But David was like, oh no, it's not an option. And so
why even put yourself in a position where you have to deal with it?
Because once you allow it, it'll continue.
Well, not just that, but I don't want to, oh yeah, you can come over, but you can't go in the house. I don't even want to have that conversation.
Right.
Because then that'll turn into something else.
Right.
No, we're going to have this in neutral territory, somewhere else, but we're not going to do it here.
Yep. At his mom's. House is over. So she comes. Well, I end up talking to her, and it's funny because everybody was like, yeah, we're all in the corner going, oh, Lori's talking to her. Lori's talking to her. I'm like, well, she was right there. I'm not going to just act like she's not a person. Well, then we were having the other kid's birthday party the next day, and she got invited to that too. It was just awesome.
Spend a whole weekend with it.
2 days in a row.
Yay. But my ex is over a lot. There's a lot of interaction. And there's just no right or wrong way to do it. It's like what works for you, It's a lot more interaction than I'm sure my partner would like.
I think I feel bad for her, which new husband, I guess. I feel kind of bad for him because he's come into this relationship with her, I guess, over the past maybe couple of years or so.
He came to the birthday party too.
Yeah. And so he's like walking in going, hey man, what's going on? I'm so-and-so. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't even know if you'll be here tomorrow. You're, I don't want to cause a problem with you and your significant other because she's my ex and she might not like you talking to me.
Don't be too friendly.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You're an op.
I know I'm awesome, but you might want to stay away.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's real complicated.
It is. But that just goes to show you, even when the kids move out, it doesn't stop.
No, probably not.
You've still got those things to navigate. And I'm sure one day the grandkids are going to find out Lori's not our real grandma.
Yeah. Well, so they don't know, right? You're just like any other grandma right now.
Right. They will know, I'm sure. Somebody's going to tell them. We can who, but
yeah. Well, most likely we'll tell them. We just get in front of that one.
Well, when I post stuff, I'll say my step grandkid.
Oh.
Somebody said, why do you do that? And I said, because my son hasn't had kids. It's not making them less. It's that whole thing again. They're not my grandkids. Yeah. I love them with all my heart. I would do anything in the world for them. But legally, biologically, they are no relation to me.
Yeah. That's an interesting one.
Yeah. When it comes to labels, it is what you ascribe to it. And you teach other people what that means. If I call one of my kids or my grandkids, if they were my step grandkid, if I call them that, I get to choose what does that mean to them, because they don't know. And as long as I explain it to them in a way that says this is awesome, because like I tell Jackson all the time, my stepson, I call him my stepson, unless somebody says, "Oh, your son is just like you," and I'm like, I know. I don't even say anything.
He does the same thing now. He just doesn't even say anything.
Yeah. But I'll call him my stepson. And then I'll look at him and I'll say, Jackson, you do realize I am the only person in your life that chose to be with you. Everybody else had no choice.
I love you more than them.
And had they have a choice, they probably wouldn't have done it. But I did.
He tells me that constantly.
Yeah. Labels are tricky, and everybody kind of ascribes their own meaning. But you're right; we get to kind of define what that is by the experience.
Yep.
Yeah. Luckily, I get to spend a lot of time with the step granddaughter. She's the only girl, so I just eat her up because when her dad gets her, he has to work. So we kind of rotate who watches her through the aunt and grandma and all that stuff. So I got to spend like 2.5 days with her last week. And I just love her to death. And she does not know any different.
Right.
She was going to the other grandmas and I was like, you get to go see Mimi today. And she's like, Mimi. And I was like, yeah. She's like, yay. I have no feelings towards the ex. Just.
Oh, really? You and the ex are good.
Well, no, I mean, I have no feelings. Like.
Ambivalence.
She treats her she treats her with the same respect she would a stranger.
Yep. And we've had some disagreements, we'll say, in the past, but I'm not, I don't feel anything because it means I care if I feel something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like she doesn't have the power to change how you feel about anything.
Right. Yeah. I don't give her that power.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I find myself, honestly, even with the grandkids, I find myself doing some of the similar things I do with my kids, being that I will often like get one of my grandkids and say, oh, have you seen Lolo? Or, hey, let's go talk to Lolo. That's what they call her. And I find myself trying to nurture that relationship too, because I want it to be there, which is, similar to what I did with my own kids. Like they would come in and, oh, you got such and such grade, or you got this new thing or whatever. Let's go tell Lori, so I would always include her in those things and gave them an opportunity to have a positive interaction with her. And I find myself doing that with the grandkids too. Even though it's not necessary, I still do it.
Yeah.
I love that. Because, you don't want children to be victims of our choices and our conflict. It shouldn't be their conflict.
Right.
They should just have family.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how we got here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I would like for my grandkids to be able to say, I never can imagine that my grandfather and my grandmother didn't get along. I want them to be able to say that because they don't see it. And they don't feel it.
Yeah.
My
kids saw it, but I want my grandkids to not even be able to fathom that ever happened.
You got a do-over.
Yeah. Yeah. A do-over.
Yep.
And they deserve that.
Yep.
The kids didn't get the pleasure of it, so they deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know one of his kids and the mom of their daughter split up. And you'd have thought I lost my best friend. I cried for 3 days straight?
I don't know.
I mean, it was horrible because I knew what they were getting into. It's, oh my gosh, it's every other weekend. So now we get to see her once a month. We get, because she's 4.5 hours away. And
yeah, they're not exactly blended though, because they don't have other relationships.
Right.
They're just split up. So, there's still a chance they'll get back together, but who knows?
Yeah. Hopefully, if they like each other.
Stranger things have happened, right?
Oh my gosh. Do you know that something like 6% of people who get divorced get remarried?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
We know a couple, that was actually on our podcast at some point, like the parents married each other 3 times.
Probably heard that whole saying, third time's a charm.
There you go. Let's hope.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Well, Billy, what's keeping you from getting married? Just curious.
She don't want to lose her name.
She likes her last name.
Yeah, I'm a Tarascio.
Yeah. Well, there's my last name. Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of baggage, like marriage baggage, like marriage trauma, it was really, really hard for me to get a divorce. And it's definitely made me kind of like, I don't know, sour to the concept a little bit.
Yeah.
So the way you avoid another divorce is you just don't get remarried.
I mean, we're just so good, things are just so good.
And she's seen what happens when you get married.
I mean, I do, that's the other thing. So I have my own, experience, which was not good. Anybody's divorce is bad, but it just feels like such a failure. And, it's not something anybody ever wants to do. But then, I'm also a divorce attorney. So I'm just honestly scared to even do it. It feels like a jinx in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you have to see it all the time too, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
Doesn't help.
When I got divorced, I was like, I kind of had the same mentality. I wanted to get divorced. I was tired of it. It was a bad alcohol situation. But I started thinking divorces should come like driver's license. You got to renew them every 3 years.
Mhm.
I mean, I really thought that. That was my mentality on it.
Marriages, you mean? Marriage, renew your marriage?
Yeah, like every so many years you have to renew your driver's license. You should renew your marriage. And if you don't, then it just expires.
I mean, there is something to be said for that. It's just, getting married isn't going to keep your relationship healthy, And some people take one another for granted once they get married because it's permanent. So
I got you now.
Yeah, you can kind of stop trying, and I don't know. I think everybody should stay on their toes. Stay invested. Keep working hard.
Yeah. I think people, I don't think they do it necessarily consciously, but I think they look at marriage as the winning of the game.
Right.
It's not. It's the beginning of the game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, for a lot of people, they do treat it like, I have to get to this point and then I can just kind of coast or whatever. I just don't we're really, really good. Things are so good. And I just don't really want to change that. I think the kids would like it if we got married though, because our culture and our society still really, really, really values marriage. So that's a little hard because I would like, them to have that, but I don't want it.
You say, look, once you all grow up and move out, then we'll get married.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Then y'all can be bridesmaids. They want to be bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did have one person tell me, I asked right before I got married to Lori, I said, what's some advice you can give me? He's like, do not get remarried until your kids are grown and out of the house. And I was like,
He's the only person that told David that.
yeah. He didn't tell me why.
Who gave you this advice?
It was actually, he's a preacher.
A preacher.
Yeah. He was a preacher.
Wow.
He was a widower. Yeah. He was a widower.
He wasn't remarried.
But he was an older fellow. He was probably in his 60s at the time.
Did he tell you why?
No, he didn't. I think if he would have, well, now you're making me try to think back. I don't think he told me why. And if he did tell me, I probably had this mentality like, yeah, whatever, it won't happen to me. Mm-hmm. But I think part of my mentality was certainly that I wanted my kids to see a healthy marriage relationship. And there was no way for me to do that unless I got remarried. Now, that's not why I got remarried, but that was a big part of what I wanted to happen. And
I think that's so important.
It is. I had a friend of mine that she died of cancer a year after we got married, and she didn't date. She was a single mom, and she started dating when her kid was 18, and her kid flipped out. And so she told me, she said, Lori, don't do like I did. I know you love Jackson, but he needs to see a happy, healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She said that was her one regret.
How interesting. Life is so, damned if you do, damned if you don't,
Yeah.
People are always going to regret things. Like she was trying to make the very best choice for her child. And
yep. I know.
Yep.
Live and learn, live and learn.
Yep. If I ever get to come back and do it all over again, I have all the answers.
Right. Exactly.
Well, Billie, we have, of course, enjoyed having you again. Mm-hmm. And we're going to make a note to have you back in 6 months to see what's going on.
Get some updates.
Yeah.
In the drama. I really, really like having teenage girls. They're so fun. They're so different than the teenage boys. I really like it.
Now, you have a house manager, though, right?
I do. I have a house manager. And I couldn't, she went to Brazil for 2 weeks because she goes to Brazil a lot. And I could not do this and stay sane and stay happy without somebody coming to my house, almost every day to kind of help me get a reset because there's so many kids. We're so outnumbered.
Yes. Yeah. And just to do those little things, to take the target off your back.
Yeah. And trying to figure out with them how to make them, keep my house how I want my house. It's not possible. They're not going to do laundry. She does laundry every day. She cleans my lists. And this woman is a complete and total blessing. I highly recommend if anybody's going to have 7 children or 6, get a house manager.
Or 2.
Or 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
get you an Alice.
If you decide to give up lawyering, start a company with, blended family house managers.
Everybody needs them. Do it. And I also highly recommend Brazilians. They're fabulous. I love her so much.
There was a joke that David said that his perfect woman before he met me, go ahead and cough, it's okay. That his perfect woman was a 5'9" Brazilian.
I bet you your housekeeper's a 5'9".
She's like 5'2", 5'1".
Yeah.
They're so spicy. They're so fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you told her that, because if I'd have said that, it'd be like, oh, I bet you would do want one in here.
All right, David.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks again, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. And remember that life is good.
And it really is when you nacho.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nacho Kids Podcast. Find us online at nachokids.com. Until next time, remember, life is good when you nacho.